excited, both of us, right? We were both excited to, come up and speak about Hacktoberfest because like this is the first time, like till now we were participating in Hacktoberfest as, just a contributor for the past 2-3 years. But now this year we have our own project and like we are bringing it to like for the community and the people to contribute to it. And we're also actively, helping like, so since it has been about 1 week or so since Hacktoberfest started officially, right? And our preparation started around like a month ago for the same, right? So to prepare all the, front end and the back end repos for, to accept contributions and everything, right? So it took us, around 3 weeks or so to get it all set up and started. And then now we are seeing good contributions. So I'm very excited to, bring our experience to the table and also help people here to contribute to Resuminator as well as open source projects, which are, some meaningful contributions and not just, tiny ones there, right? Mash, you wanna introduce yourself? Meanwhile, I'll just share my screen.
So, like they told me about, like, I'm just an engineer. Vivek and me like build lot of things, I'll say. So Resuminator being the prime one, like we have Grok Resuminator like quite sometimes, like we have reiterated it, like we don't know how many times we have reiterated it. And for the Hacktoberfest, like it's like we are talking in the night, like how we are gonna do with the contribution. And like it's been a good part since the Hacktoberfest started, and like we have seen the good amount of contribution in like last 7 days.
Right. So I'll just share my screen and you could start with the session. Right? Cool. I hope people can see my screen. It's visible, right? Everyone? People in the chat, why is the chat soda? Right. So at least, we could wish each other a happy Hacktoberfest, right? So people who are there in the chat, I mean, a lot of people I can see, Harsh is there and Shayandeep is there. I saw Yash also present. Is Yash here? Not sure if he's here or not yet. So Yash was there. Yes, Saigal and other people were there. People in the chat, some activity, right? I hope you are able to hear us. Yes or no? A quick Y in the chat would help us to, Thanks a lot. So I did not, get to welcome you all as well, right? No one in the chat yet. Cool. Okay. So just keep an eye on the chat. We'll be, posting some links throughout, and also we'll be, taking up questions through chat as well as, through if you want to unmute yourself and speak, right? And meanwhile, I'll just go ahead and start with this. Okay. So hello and welcome everyone. This is me, Vivek from Team Resuminator, and we have Himanshu here, right? I am the co-creator and right, and Himanshu handles the backend, and he is also, kind of a DevOps wizard. And we both build a lot of things, Resuminator being one of our products, right? And we have other things going on along with Resuminator as well, right? But today, the thing why we wanted to come as Team Resuminator is because Resuminator is taking part in Hacktoberfest this year, right? And you can, come and participate with us, as well as, we'll be guiding you through how to, contribute to open source in general and what even it is, right? So, but if we want to start with like what open source is, we should definitely, just have a look at the formal definition. And I mean, Himanshu is someone who I also approach for all these kind of explanations, right? So it would be best for him to handle that, right? So if you want to reach out to us later after this session, here are our handles written, like at Vivek Nigam and at Mercury Buddy. These are both on Twitter, and we are like very active on Twitter if you want to reach out to us. And you can also find our, we'll paste the links for our LinkedIn in the chat as well, right? So you can reach out there if you find anything interesting you want to discuss after the session. So getting into it, right? If I'll hand it over to Himanshu for, the formal definition and then a simple breakdown.
I guess let's address the elephant in the room. It's all about open source today. So this is a very formal definition that you will see all around the internet, that open source software is a computer software that is released under a license. So I will not talk more on the definition front. Let's take it with an example so that you can have a better clarity what open source software is. So that's a that everybody knows that open source software is that which where on of which code you can find it on the internet. Like it's a software of which code you can find it on the internet. People generally term that as an open source, but that's not exactly true. The whole part here, please, is basically the license and the permission that comes with it. So basically, with the gate responsibility comes a gate liability, I'll say. So every software that is publicly available is not open source. So that software should have a basically a license, or let's say an agreement to permit you to use that at any level, like either for personal use, either for study, either to like redistribute it. So that is there. So there is no compliance with the existing basically license holders of the project. So to break it down to a very singular part, it's like every open is not open. So every I'm missing the analogy here. So every glitters are not gold. So it's like that. So every open code you see on the GitHub is not basically open source until unless it doesn't have a formal license validating you to use it. It's not open source. So that would be the, I'll say, the best definition of the open source and the easiest one.
I guess that's right. So one thing which Himanshu has mentioned, right? So if you have a look at any repository, right? I'll just go ahead and give you an example which Himanshu just said. So like I'll be using our repositories for a lot of examples, right? So you can also follow along. So in every, so this is something which I believe you all have seen, right? So if you, head down to all this, like cut through all the noise from which is here, you can find something called as a license file in there, right? And also a license is also displayed in there. So this license basically tells you like what all you can do and what all you cannot do and what all the conditions are there, right? So this is another, whole diverse topic into which people go about, right? Discussing what the license should be. So as Himanshu said, right, every software which you find on the internet may or may not be, available for you to contribute or to, just copy from, right? They might be just there as an example, for people to put out their code so that the others who are using it can trust it, very confidently, right? So if you know what's written in the code, right, it will be very you will be comfortable by using it, right? So that's one analogy. I hope that makes sense to people here. And if you look at some of the open source projects, so Himanshu could just elaborate more on this one.
So like again, open source. So the life so these are like some of the biggest open source projects that we have listed here. So I'll say the life would be impossible without Linux. Like most of you might have connected through Linux systems, Mac systems. We are connected through Zoom, and their servers are probably might be running Linux, Windows, I doubt. So that is open source for you. So open source make thing happens. Open source, all that thing where you can have that contribution going on, security flows, checking out. A large number of people can contribute to an open source while people cannot contribute to a closed source. So a better analogy to your life would be Telegram versus WhatsApp. So we all say that Telegram is safe, Telegram is secure, but we don't say same for the WhatsApp, and like WhatsApp has a recent incident. So let's not go there. So why Telegram is so secure? The whole reason is that because you can find the entire Telegram's code in open source. You can just literally go out there and see like what happens to your chat, whenever you send a message to someone, what really happens. So open source gives you clarity. So what is really behind the scenes, and give you more insights to it. Like let's say there's this security flow. You can just go there, check it, and solve it. Open source give you that flexibility. So that's why that's a basic question, like why open source is important, and why we should consider opting for the open source softwares. And these are the biggest ones. And I hope everybody has used Linux, Mozilla Firefox, VLC, VS Code, Telegram, Ubuntu on the cloud. Yes, that's our choice for the Resuminator. Everything is deployed on 18.4. Yeah, so that I'll say that is our main choice.
How many people actually use VS Code for their daily purposes, right? Would be great if you can just put it in the chat, right? So at least we should know that how many people are at least coding each day, right? Or maybe are very frequent coders in their
I also love Sublime, guys. I'm just putting it out there.
Right. So all these, if you are, using, I believe everyone would have used VLC Media Player, right? So if you have used VLC Media Player once, you basically have used an open source software and you have interacted with before. Maybe a lot of people, came through the Zoom link by clicking a link on Mozilla Firefox. Again, you have been using a open source software, right? So the thing which I would, get into is, we just talked about some jargon about open source, but the thing is, what we are all here is for, how and where to start if you're as a beginner, right? So I have been working in open source, and it has been around 3 years, 3 years or more around. I've been working in this same field, right? And I found it very daunting at first to get into open source, and even like the code base was so large when I went to GitHub and all, and I saw any of the code base, it was extremely large and huge, right? So then it became very overwhelming for me to start. But later on, with the help of some of my seniors and some friends and definitely YouTube, right, and a lot of blogs, I figured out that okay, I should start maybe by earning Git and everything. Then I learned Git, but still I wasn't very aware of how to contribute to it, right? I learned how to upload files on GitHub, right? But I could not think how to contribute to it. So I formed a framework over the years and how you can actually get into open source as a beginner. The first step would be to start learning how to code a small piece of software, right? How many people, what languages are you comfortable in, people in the chat? JavaScript people. So I am like primarily a TypeScript person, JavaScript person. How many other people are there who are for JavaScript and Python or whatever languages you're using? Okay, Java and Python. Cool,
Python wins, man.
Maybe. People coming from ML backgrounds, like Python is your maybe go-to language. People coming from web dev background, like my friend Yash here, JavaScript for the win, right? Always. So okay, cool. So if you have ever written a code in JavaScript or maybe C++ or anything, right? And if you have created something which can be used later on. Suppose, for example, if you just created a simple calculator, right? And you use Python or maybe C++ or Java or whatever language, right? So that is your small piece of software. Now the next thing is, how would you so that resides in your PC, right? So how would you distribute it to other people, right? To see what they have built and maybe make amendments to improve that or fix some bugs or something like that. So the next thing which comes in is to how to distribute that same thing which you've built. It may be a very small thing, and that is open source it with the license, right? So definitely you should have a license in an open source file, as Himanshu mentioned earlier. So you open source it, maybe by uploading it to GitHub, GitLab, or wherever you find comfortable. And the skills you need to learn here is your software dev skills requiring your primary language, and some of the patterns on how you would develop a software. Like, how many people know about OOPS here? How many people are familiar with this word OOPS or something? People in the chat? Saurav? Like Java people must be very familiar with the OOPS, right? Definitely. Is Saurav here or not? If Saurav is active or not? Cool. So people, if you are comfortable with OOPS, or maybe some people coming from different kind of backgrounds may know functional programming as well. So whatever paradigm you have learned, build a software out of it, and then try to put it on GitHub, following any basic tutorial which you find, right? Once you have done that, try to make an announcement on maybe LinkedIn or somewhere else, and ask people to come and review it, maybe see it, use it, and then make amendments to it by making something called as a pull request. So if I simplify the concept of pull request, it's basically, suppose if I come to you, right, and I have a bunch of things written in my code, but then you come to me and ask me that, okay, I want to add this particular thing to your code base, right? So you have 5 functions. I want to add one more function to your code. So in that scenario, what happens is you would ask me to pull your code to my code base, right? So you create your own copy of my code base, add your stuff to it, and then make a pull request. I hope this makes sense to people. Does it? In the chat, just quickly go ahead and you can ask your questions live as well, right? If you have any, I have the chat open on my right. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat and we'll address them accordingly. Okay. And the next thing would be, just to, if once you are comfortable with this pattern, right? So if you're comfortable with step 1, 2, and 3, that you have like learned how to build your own software with any particular language or any particular framework or anything. Next, you go ahead and try to distribute it by open sourcing it. That is one good way to distribute your product. The next thing is you allow people to make amendments to it, right? By adding maybe some guidelines on how people can contribute to it. So I'll show you how we have done this just in the next slide or so. And then once you're comfortable with all these patterns, you can find people in other communities. Like once you have some of your own open source projects, you can come to us maybe, right? We have a community of Resuminator, and then we would help you contribute to our code base, right? And if you're comfortable with our tech stack and everything, we would help you come and contribute to our code base. So that is how open source generally works. So you develop stuff and you put it out for people to use it, make amendments to it, read from it, or whatever. And then if you are comfortable with it, and then you move to other communities and ask people there to help you, right? To do the same, which you just did with your own project. And that cycle just goes on. So we, Himanshu and I both have been, just doing this for the past few years now. And we have been part of different communities as well, right? In my GSOC experience, I was part of CERN. And that way I got to, learn a lot of things which I could probably not have learned while working alone, right? So finding people online and working with them definitely helps you learn a lot of stuff, right? I hope this part's clear to people, right? Yes or no? 26 people in there, 4 of us are the organizers, the rest of the people who are there. Cool. Nandini, Mansi, Nishant, Prabal, Prateek. Okay, Rushil is also here. Shaindeep. Okay, cool. Brilliant. One major question which I get is that, is open source equal to freelancing, right? So that is something which I just wanted to address quickly. People ask that, can you get paid for open source work, or if you can get you can contribute to open source and get paid by it. There are a lot of answers to it, and you cannot see open source as freelancing work like while you're in college. Both have very different purposes, honestly, right? So when you are doing a freelance work, you should definitely ask for a payment for a freelance work, honestly, right? But you cannot do that in open source contributions, right? That's just not what open source is for. And freelance work may or may not be distributed freely to other people, like depending on the client. Suppose if you have a very good client and they want their code to be open source, then it's fine. But generally, they would want you to ask, like, put your code out freely in the open for other people to use it, see it, or do whatever with it, right? So that's one way which freelancing differs from open sourcing, right? And then in freelancing, when you're doing the stuff, you are doing it with you or your teammate. But in open source, you have a whole community to welcome you, right? So that is one big thing which comes along with open source contributions, that it helps you gain a lot of clarity on other people's code base, helps you read code better, write better code, and all that. So you learn a lot, basically, right? Freelancing, you might be getting much more money, but then the learning ratio just may go down, right? That's up to you. Okay, so Kushi asked that, why would one want allowing? Okay. So that is one interesting question. So Kushi asked basically that, why would one want for people to change their code, right? And what is the advantage of that? So I'll give you a quick example. I'll give you a very quick example. So what happened with us was, just a second. So what happened with us, if you go onto our Resuminator website, right? So there was one thing, one feature which was missing. There was one bug which was there, and which caused a lot of people to just maybe so what happened was people were putting this kind of link in the chat, but in the contact form, but we wanted actually to put people like put only the handle, right? So I opened an issue on my own repository, and then I just described one solution which I would like. So okay, so something like this should happen. As soon as people write the whole link, it should automatically trim down to the particular maybe handle or something like that, right? So that was some use case which occurred to me, and then we had a whole lot of discussion on that, and people were there to actively participate in the discussion. And then finally now we have this feature that if you so Arpit was the guy who finally built this feature using his React knowledge, right? And it was not a lot of code, it was probably 7 to 10 lines, but that definitely added a lot of functionality and a lot of like better user experience for people, right? So that way their links would be neat and clean, as well as we like Arpit got the chance to contribute to a larger code base. So that is one reason, right, Khushi? So that's why you would ask people to contribute to your source code. You can get the experience and knowledge of other people as well, right, while you are helping them contribute to your code. I hope that makes sense to people. Does it? Harshita's answer was right, basically, right? So for enhancing the app maybe, or maybe fixing some bugs or something like that. But I hope this makes sense to a lot of people who are here, right? Cool. So people again ask me that what is the benefit of doing open source, right? Even like if you can literally spend your time doing lead code problems and get a good job out of it, why would you even go and spend your time, spend so much of hours into learning how to actually work with, open source code bases and all that, right? So open source profile, like nowadays, if you are not going for a FANG company, maybe, right? If you're going for a mid-sized company or something, they would definitely want your portfolio like at some point or the other, right? And like if you're working with open source, you get to, open source code bases, you get to build a profile, your profile as your portfolio, right? I have used that a lot of times. So I do not have my own website, but whenever someone asks me if they want to see my projects or something, I have like built my GitHub page in a way that people can identify which projects I'm working on and what languages I'm comfortable in. So basically it serves like my quick resume as well as my quick portfolio thing, right? So I'll come to that question, Prateek, definitely. So the second thing which comes in if you're working in open source is that you get to interact with a lot of other devs without actually joining any organization, right? So suppose I learned a lot of things when I was looking at other people's code and interacting with them, right? So there were a lot of features which I did not know how to build, but then I went on to the that particular library's open source GitHub repository and asked a few answered, like I saw some of the discussions answered, and then I saw the answers there and learned about it, right? So that was one thing, right? And then you get a lot better at debugging. That's one for sure, right? So once you start working on an open source code base, you will be able to perform static analysis. Basically, static analysis is like you look at the code and you identify where the bugs might be, right? So that is something which you get very good at if you are doing a code review, or you are someone has contributed to your code and you want to see that if that code would be viable and legible to other people or not. And then in the end, like one big example is that if you build open source softwares, right, it forces you to write better code, which can be read by humans. So it's a very good saying that good code is readable by machines, but great code is readable by humans, right? So if you want to write great code, like which should be readable by humans, you should try to open source software, and then a lot of devs would just come to you and ask you that what does this variable mean, and then you'll understand, okay, I should have named this variable better than just X, right? So that is one bigger benefit which you get towards career building. So your code quality improves, right? And most of the times, if you are doing CP and everything, right, or maybe you're doing just DSA, you'd be using those DSA concepts while you're building an actual software, right? So most of the times you just do DSA problems, and a lot of them are good for problem solving. But then if you come to real life use cases, you might not identify that, okay, you can use this particular data structure which you use in DSA into your development as well, right? Into your software as well. So that is something which you can figure out if you're working with open source, because a lot of other people would also pour in their ideas while looking at your code. So Pratik asked me in the chat that how did you start, if like asked from a beginner's point of view. So Pratik, I just told you, right? So I started by learning technologies, right? So I was very clueless in 2018 or 2017 when I started out college, right? I was very clueless on what to learn and what not to learn. I saw everyone was doing DSA, and CP was a very common term which was used around, and dev was a common word used around. So I thought I had to choose one side, like either go into CP and become like a hardcore coder, or go into dev, or maybe build some websites or something like that. So I started out by just enrolling myself into a bootcamp and see what happens, right? So I went to a place in Jaipur called Linux World, right? So there I learned a lot of technologies. I learned how to code with Python. I learned how to write it. I learned how to get comfortable with writing code. So that was one big thing. So I was comfortable with writing code in Java from before in my school days, but later on, how to build a software out of it, I learned during the winter of 2018 or something, right? And I built small softwares, like maybe some printing something on the console, or maybe taking inputs and performing some calculations. And then later on, by the end of the boot camp, I built a complete setup, for setting up a cluster and everything. Like, so I'm not working in that DevOps field right now, but I started out by learning something, right? So you start with learning something and then you explore, right? Different fields, whatever you can. So suppose if you are very interested, Pratik, what are you interested in right now? Anything you are working on right now, Pratik? I could, give an example with your perspective as well. What are people working on right now? What technologies are you working on right now? Any projects you're working on right now? Okay, Pratik. Have you ever coded before anything? Do you have any coding experience from before, Pratik? You can unmute yourself as well if you want to, right? Okay, so if you do not have any coding experience, I would suggest highly to learn some of the other language, right? Not the college bit would not be enough, honestly. So just try to go onto YouTube and try to learn some language or the other. Maybe start with Python or JavaScript. Honestly, that would be very good for you to start with. These two languages I generally find very easy to start with, but definitely they are hard to master. But honestly, they will get you in the flow of how to code things, right? How to actually think in that way. So if you are, in just a second year and you just not started coding, definitely, try out some free code camp videos to learn JavaScript maybe, or learn Python maybe. They might be 6 or 10 hour long videos, but it will at least help you get comfortable with writing code. So that's the first step basically for everyone who is maybe in the second year or have not started coding yet, or definitely if you want to get into coding, right? So if you have done data science, intro from Intenshala, like you were just telling me, right? And you've did Python for a time, learn more concepts about Python, right? Try to write at least 100 lines of code in Python at one point of time, right? So aim to write some meaningful piece of software. Think of a problem which you are, facing each day, right? So maybe you can write a software, where you can automate your login or something like that, right? To start learning to build something, and in the process you can figure out the nits and bits of it as well, right? So don't worry about getting into open source just yet. First thing is to learn how to build something, right? So that's the first step, whoever has not built anything yet, right? For everyone. I hope Himanshu also agrees on this one, right? Himanshu?
Yeah, totally.
Right. So if you are building something, that would help you think, and also be help you into reading other people's code base as well, right? So then open source would make much more sense, going into open source and diving into GitHub and everything. But before that, it's very nice to just write small piece of software. If you want to start with Python, right? Himanshu is like a Python ninja for you here, right? You can just tag him
Still
along
same,
in
no ninja.
Twitter.
I still Google. So whenever I
Right,
start,
right. But he has decent
for the
experience in writing
same
a lot of
result.
software. Right. That's something you would agree, Himanshu. You cannot just modest yourself in this one, right? He has good amount of Python experience, so you can tag him up if you want, right? If you want to ask about it, right?
Yeah.
Any other people? You're saying something, Himanshu, you're not audible.
Yeah, I said that's a constant factor. I still code daily in Python. But I still do Google. I still go to Stack Overflow for the same problem. Like, I am doing it right or not? Like, the code messing up with me, or I am messing up with the code. So don't fear, just go out there and start writing some amount of code, and people are there to help you.
Definitely. I would completely agree on that. I hope that answers your question, Pratik. Does it? Any other people having any questions till this point? You can just paste it in the chat. Some people are here. Okay, cool. I'll come to this, Nishant, at the end when we will tell you how to contribute to Resuminator. I'll also tell you how to do this one. Okay. So this is something Himanshu could tell you more about, and if you can get paid or hired, he has some experience with that, right? If you are just in open source.
Yeah. So very interesting scenario. So a little bit of background here would everybody help will. I never did CP, so I never went to lead code. I never went to CodeChef. I never solved their problems. For me, it was always development, hackathons, coding. So most of the part of my hiring, I would say, getting into an academy, was somewhere relied on my open source projects and the contribution I made. But I'm not saying that's the foremost thing. So like the first pointer here, it says, it's not that like you found a like you found the Resuminator and you just started to contribute into it and you are just going to be hired into Resuminator. No, that's not going to happen, because first thing, it's a non-profit project, so we don't have any opening. So same goes for other projects as well. Like you might find some other projects, but if you keep on contributing, but you will not maybe be able to end up hiring with them. So it's not a very great fact to say, like if you are doing open source 100% of the time, you will end up in that firm, or maybe a firm bigger than that. So I'll say open source contribution is basically to give, and it's more like a long-term investment, or say a long-term thing which you can think of, like to improve your skills and maybe to show it to the potential your potential employers, so that this much amount of the code is big and like I've contributed that much amount, okay, and I did this, I did that kind of thing. So a better example would be like if you are interested in Chrome, and if you want, let's say you want to get job at Google, so I won't suggest you to like clone the code of Google Chrome and start contributing to it. So that's not a wise decision. You have to go with like your CP. So, but yes, it helps. So at my current job, even my current job, people in my interviews just ask Resuminator. Like we discuss Resuminator all day long, like what's been on the DevOps end, how the things are scaled. Like if I tell you one fact, Resuminator is a pure free product. So even we don't spend any penny of running the Resuminator. So all the performance you see is basically from the free things around in the internet. So learn that, learn how to build products, not like you just want to do open source just to get a job. So that's a very big thing I would like to put it out there. So open source may or may not get you a job, but definitely would get you a lot of experience. I recall an event from last May. We had some security issue. Somebody reported us. We went down for 24 hours. I've never written JavaScript in my life before, but Vivek and me spend time on JavaScript editing things. So that's what open source do to you, and making your own product. That so like I've never coded JavaScript, like I haven't even done that hello world, but I was like with like let's debug this problem. Now we have to face it. So that's what open source tells you to like makes an effort you to do. And now at my own job, like if somebody throws a problem at me, I can do it. Give me some time, we can figure something out for it. So that's the, I'll say, the effort, the attitude you get from the open source. So that's the thing. Just don't go for like hiring. But yeah, definitely it's not that there are not perks of like if you are contributing your time you should get paid for it. It's not that there is no money involved. There is, but it's not always a direct money. It could be in the form of donation. Like Resuminator is open to a donation. Like if you like Resuminator, you can donate it, but it's not very a hard requirement that if you are using Resuminator, you have to donate something. You may or may not. So that's the fact. And more about this program, GSOC Outreach MLH, I guess Vivek should take over. Like he's the GSOCer at Sun. Like,
so one thing, Himanshu, which he mentioned about the attitude, right? So the attitude while getting into open source is very important. Right? A lot of people I've seen doing open source for just the sake of it. So I had some of my friends who contacted me when they went into 4th year, right? They had placements at their head. And then they saw some recruiters asking other people for their GitHub profiles. So my friends called up, called me up and asked me, bhai, GitHub setup karwa de mera. So I said, like, what does this sentence even mean, right? GitHub kaise setup karwa दूं मैं तुम्हारा? So like they said, okay, like you have all these green, green, you have this whole contribution chart as green. Can I get the same? Nega, ek saal code kar lo, tumhara bhi ho jayega. So that was my response to them. Right?
Maybe you should show mine. Like, I don't have a green GitHub.
Yeah. So I mean, people like the recruiters might be asking them to send their GitHub profiles, but then you cannot just do it in one day. So as Himanshu said, like, it's a long-term game which requires consistent efforts to, in the end, to actually showcase your portfolio in open source. And then there are other programs which highly encourage. So these programs like GSOC is there, like which I was a part of last year, and Outreach is there. I have some friends who went to Outreach, like they were selected for Outreach program. And then there's the MLH fellowship, which is very, making rounds on the on LinkedIn recently, right, from last year. So all these programs generally are not, meant for the people who are going into the mindset that, okay, if I code out for 3 months, it's kind of an internship for me, and I'll be getting maybe $1,500 or $3,000 or whatever for it, right? It's for the people who want to actually make a difference and want to contribute to it. So I honestly had this mindset before that, okay, GSOC is a place, right? And this is before I got into college, right? So I just saw that GSOC people get $3,000 as their stipend, right? So I just calculated into INR and I thought, okay, this is too much of money. But when I tried to go with that attitude in my first year, right, I was bashed badly, right? I could not even understand because I did not have the required skills. And in the second year, I removed that attitude, but I submitted a proposal. I did not get there, right? Second year, I was able to submit a proposal at least. And in the third year, I went, okay, I know I'm very comfortable with my own development skills. Now let me just contribute, to these repos, and let's see. Like, I want to meet people. I want to learn new things while working with them. So that was my attitude at that point of time. I wanted to get involved into more communities and all. So that's why I went into GSOC, and the money was not should and never be the factor which decides for your like you getting into GSOC or Outreach or MLH. They may pay a good amount of stipend, which none of your internships would pay, honestly, if you are working at any company, unless and until it's Google or something. So unless and until you are interning at FAANG, no company would pay as equal to GSOC, Outreach, or GSOC or Outreach. I'm not very sure of MLH or how much they reward their contributors with. But yeah, I mean, these are some things. And honestly, some people ask me if I got into GSOC, right? I was working with Sun and GSOC. Can I get hired at Sun? So that is, no, you cannot get hired at Sun. You definitely have some contacts. So the best you can get is a referral, right? So that is that. And like, you have a whole procedure of getting hired. So that's a very different story altogether. So GSOC does not guarantee you getting a job at Sun or any other place, like maybe Mozilla or Linux Foundation or wherever, right? You make contacts, and in the end, like, we are all humans, right? So we all want to work with other better people who are there. So that can be one factor, like that can be one angle to look at it. It's not something which can be, just directly prepared, like which can directly prepare you to get a job. I hope that makes sense to everyone, right? In the chat.
I have a better fact to put it out here. So first, I never know like GSOC would pay. So in the first year, when I wanted to apply, so when I completed the whole application, I was on the last page. I was going through the FAQs. Then I came to know it pays. I should have put more value to my application. But frankly, I did not. Like, the ship has sailed, and I was like, over in the night. It was the last day. I said, like, just complete this up and let's get this over with. The next year when I applied, the money was not in the mind. Neither I got into it. Like, it's not that the same Vivek story that I got into a project. I did not. But the founder contacted me after the G, like I didn't get in. So they asked me like if I would like to be the part of repository out of the GSOC. I like worked with them like for 5 or 6 months or so. So that's the basic idea. People may reach you out apart from the GSOC when you apply. So it's not that until unless you're not going to get those dollars, you are not going to work. And I'm very happy that I have some good contacts. Like if sometimes I have to go to Australia, I have a host there. Just pick that as a perk and
Got it. So I hope people are with us at this point of time, because the next thing which we are getting into is how you can actually start with a commit, right? So if you are already comfortable with some web development skills, you can definitely be a part of the Resuminator's code base, right? And since we are participating in ActiveFest 2021, you can come be a part of our community this October, right? So if you move on to this website, I'll quickly show you how we have actually planned out this year's ActiveFest, right? I hope people are with me on this. The people who are here, Ayush, Divya, Harsh, Harshita, Khushi, Mansi, Nandini. How many people have used Resuminator before? Why in the chat if you have used it before? If you have used it, just why in the chat would be nice. Yes is already being circulated in the chat, so it would be confusing for me. Right. Oh, brilliant, sir. Oh, cool. Any other people who have already used and have some experience with Resuminator as a software? So the first thing which goes into contributing is actually using the software, right? So if you actually start using the software, only then you could understand, okay, what this particular piece of code is actually doing, right? So that is something which you need to figure out first. Okay. So if I actually go into, so this is basically our website, and this website is also open source completely. So if you see anything on the website, right, you can find the code for it in our repository as well. So I'll open both of these things side by side, honestly, right? So here's a folder in our Resuminator, repository which says website. And if you go into it, you can find all the website stuff in there. And for example, if you want to see this particular banner, right? So if you want to see what this banner does and where this comes from, so there's something called as hero, right? And there's something which is called as the main heading, right? And there you can find the main heading, right? So the main heading says beautiful, single page resumes within minutes. And this is something which you could look at the same thing, right? So this is something which is here. And if you switch it to dark mode, something, changes up. So you can find literally the code of each and everything on the website in here. You just have to be a bit comfortable with the tech stack. So someone asked, who was it? So Nishant asked that if you, how do you get into, the code base? So one thing is, if you are here in this particular, session, you know some people who know us, right? Who know the people who are already having a product. So try to reach out to people who have something, in the open source space, right? So suppose we are there as a Resuminator, right? You might find other people like Yash has a project called as Design Systems, I believe. Yash, you here? Can you share the link in the chat? Other people who have their own maybe open source projects, you can share those links in the chat as well, right? So there are tons of open source projects which are there. Now, right now, if you see, this can be looked at like for first. So first, what I do is I sort by the programming language, right? So that's the first thing which I do. So if I go onto any repository, I find people first of all, right, which you can see in here. I try to contact them to some place or the other, and then I ask them, okay, how should I go ahead and contribute to this particular thing? So the same thing which I did was, you can the best place to do that is not LinkedIn but Twitter, honestly, right? So something which happened with me when I was, I'll just show you what happened, right? So how do you actually go ahead and reach out to people? So Maria is a person who is the maintainer of, she is the maintainer of Material UI, which is another great project. So I just mentioned her like, Maria, I want to contribute to Material UI, this ActiveFS, where should I start? Couldn't DM, that's tweet, right? So I just, asked her, and then she replied in, underneath that, thank you for your interest. And she asked me like, where should I get started and everything. And I replied in return, right? So this is how you, like, this is how simple it could be to get started with any open source thing. You don't start with the code, you start with the people, right? So go and meet people who have a project or who are maintaining a project or who are working with the project, and then ask them to contribute. Like ask them how you could go ahead and contribute. So Yash has a project which I'll just open quickly, right? So he runs this open source organization called the Design Systems, right? And there you can find, other like he has this eccentric touch, which is his design system support kind of thing, right? He was working on it for a few months now, I think. So you can get in touch with Yash, right? He can, like, you can find his profile here. So you can get in touch with him, and it starts with the people, right? So you get in touch with him and then ask him how to get into it, right? If you want to get into Resuminator, you can just go ahead into, this page. And here we have something called as find issues to contribute. So if you click on that, you can land on this issue which we have, and there we have written all these instructions on how you can pick up a particular issue. So level 1 issues are something which you can start with, right? And these are the easy issues which have maybe minor typo fixes or documentation lines, and these are, we have reserved these for beginners, right? Honestly, so if you are a beginner, we would definitely allot these to you as well, right? And if you have some experience, you can go into bug fixes. If you have more experience, you can go into adding functionality to backend, website, front end, anything, right? And these are some prerequisites. So if you want to contribute to Resuminator or any other project, you must be a user of that project at first. You cannot just go ahead and contribute to something which you don't know what it does, honestly, right? I hope this line makes sense to people. So once you have a Resuminator account, you know how to use it, and you have some insight on what it actually does, then you can go ahead and set up the front end and the back end and read the contribution guide which is there. And all of these things are in the docs which we have presented to you, right? So if you want to set up your own Resuminator instance, you can follow this guide, which is pretty quick and fair guide for getting started with Resuminator. And this would help you set up the front end and the back end. And once you're done doing that, you can go ahead and see any of these issues which are there, right? So one issue which I would ask you all, you can maybe work on this, is this particular one, right? So adding a login sign up screen graphic. So our current page looks something like this, which is very plain. But I saw other websites which have these, kind of graphic information about it, which looks pretty nice, right? So this is some issue which you can tackle in. And I've written what you can do, what can be one possible solution for it. You can go ahead and discuss it here in the comments, right? And if we find your solution to be nice, we would go ahead and assign you this one, right? And you can work on it, submit a PR according to our guidelines if you're comfortable with it. So generally in your
generally coder for that issue also,
right?
You don't have to be a coder for that issue also. Like if you just know how to design thing, just put it up there. Vivek will code it for you, man.
Yeah, literally. If you
can, and like Vivek is there.
Right. So if so we also have, you can find, like, so I just told you, right? So it starts with the people. So if you get into our issues, right, you would find what part to like who to contact for which part of the things. So here we have, in case of any doubts or queries, feel free to tag our maintainers. Like, so I handle the front end website design and any general issues which are there you are facing with Resuminator. And if you want to contribute to backend, or you want to set up some GitHub action, or maybe you want to set up, some, you have some issues with dev setup, you want to contribute to docs, you can reach out to Himanshu here, right? You can just tag Himanshu, right? Okay, I want to start with this particular thing. And then he would maybe reach out to you directly. Okay. So that is something how you can get started with it. And for Nishant, for our particular project, honestly, we have set up a whole page for the tech stack, right? So our tech stack comprises of these things. So if you're comfortable with some or the other, you might be, able to contribute to this one. I hope this makes sense, Nishant. Does it? So we have our 3 repositories which we take contributions in. So one is Resuminator, the other is the server, and third is the docs. And we have written our tech stack in here. So we use React, Next.js, Chakra UI, Firebase. You don't need to know everything, but you need to know stuff in the order which it is written, right? So React, Next.js, Chakra UI, Firebase, Zostand will come above Framer Motion. So that is something which I'll fix up, right?
Maybe you can do a PR.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can do a PR.
Yeah, maybe you can also add a PR for this one, to update the order of stuff, right? According to their relevance. And we have other third-party stuff which you may or may not be comfortable with, so you don't need to worry about it. So a lot of issues would not even require that, right? Same thing goes with the backend, right? So you need to know what Express.js is, what Mongoose is, what Firebase admin is, and what JOI is actually, right? To go ahead and contribute to the backend. And then you must have, if you are contributing, something heavy, right? You must understand what MongoDB, PostHog, and SendGrid is actually, right? And for the docs, it's pretty simple. We are using Docusaurus. So you can, literally go to Docusaurus websites and see the whole code structure and everything and how they formulate. And you can see how the guides on adding pages or docs or anything like that. We exactly follow the same guide. So there's nothing new there, right? So these are the things which we have set it up as for the tech stack. And then we have something as the contribution guidelines, which you should definitely go into, particularly part of how to open good bugs, bug reports, or how to submit your suggestions for enhancements. It might look like a lot of text, but honestly, if you read this, it's a good read and it will help you contribute to other projects as well. So a lot of projects follow these guidelines which we have set it up here, right? But definitely, so this will give you some idea on how people set up their contribution guidelines, right? And then we have something, when you have finally worked with that, you can go into the pull requests and you can follow these instructions here which are written. And then if once you submit a PR, we will actually go ahead and review. So that's something which you do very frequently, right? So all these PRs which have been closed. So I'll show you one which was closed. So this is one PR which was closed in there, right? So I would review and approve these changes. And once this looks great, you will see this kind of emoji, which this kind of GIF which is there, and your code base is merged, right? Your PR is merged into the code base. We might also have a lot of iterations on it. So if it's a difficult issue, right? So this one was a level 4 issue, which Arpit solved. So we had a lot of discussions over it, some back and forth, and I reviewed the code and he updated it promptly. And then finally he merged his code, right? So that is something how you get into contributing to open source. First thing is to start by learning the technology. The next thing is you find issues to work on. Next thing is you go and meet the people. And the third and the final thing is, you ask them to help you out with their code base, because honestly, it's very hard to go into anyone's code base and just start making changes there, right? And you should just not go directly and do that. First, you should contact them and ask them if they are comfortable with, having PRs or not. So that's something which is there, right? So this was something about how you can start with the commit. And if you find any issue interesting to work on, if you find some functionality which you can add to Resuminator, you can completely open an issue, right? With a feature request or a bug report, and we will reach out to you on GitHub as well, right? And thanks a lot for listening. That's all from our side. If you have any questions, do let us know. Unmute yourselves if you have any questions for me or Himanshu, right? Or you can paste it in the chat and we are active here as well, right? We'll take questions for the next 5-10 minutes if people are.
Thanks, Vivek. Thanks, Vivek and Himanshu. Guys, this is one of the good repository. I can see it's well documented and it's perfect for beginners. It's so you don't find any regular repository having levels, and kudos to Vivek and Himanshu for doing that. And that would be a great start for others as well. That would help beginners. Everybody says we can't find issues, and those are allotted to a lot of them, simple wala. So I guess this is one of the good repos to like contribute, or like, let me tell you guys, Resuminator has built upon so many features which we have discussed over GitHub discussions. You can go over to that. So maybe you can suggest some features which maybe Resuminator and you guys can brainstorm. So you can see like Himanshu also like started contributing from from discussing and all. So
Yeah, that's the
maybe
story of its own. So
yeah.
I was not actually the part of the Resuminator from the start. So we started with this discussion, and then we both reached out to Twitter to each other, Google Meets, and now we are together. So that's a story. Like, you find a project and you feel that your heart lies within it. Just contact the goddamn maintainer and get over it.
Right.
Yeah.
That was honestly one hell of a story, man. So Himanshu was the very furious tester of my product. So I built this product, just like a normal project, and then I put it out in the open for people to use it. Himanshu was there, and Himanshu opened a lot of issues at the very start. So I am not very sure if they are there. So if I search by author, Himanshu, right? So he opened a lot of. See, you can see he opened a lot of issues throughout, and all these issues which are from the very start, he was very actively contributing to Resuminator, as just a like out of his own curiosity, right? So I did not know him from the very start, so that's something which happened. And then when I reached out to him, that like let's see what you got, man. Let's discuss some ideas which you have. So he had a lot of good ideas and everything, and then we started working again on the project in February, right, together. And then the thing which you see right now is a complete revamp, a complete rewrite from the very scratch, where Himanshu had his skills brought on the table of like all the system design and everything which he got into. So basically, the core functionality of Resuminator has now, like, as a system design, has originated from his mind as well, right? So his contacts and other places. So he had a lot of contacts in other good communities as well. So he had a lot of experience with that, and then he brought that on the table. So that's how he got into Resuminator as well, right? So that was one hell of a story which we could tell to people. So you can definitely do that way. You can go that route as well, right? If you want to actively start participating.
Like
Right.
from just a project to a like passionately following it, you can see the iterations, like how great it is, and it's solving a key issue for people, like following the ATS resume, and like how can we build that and paying a lot of money. So there it goes, Resuminator. Let's open up for Q&A, and I guess we have given access to you guys for like unmuting yourself. Let's hear you also, and don't read the text and all. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
So one question before anyone starts. Hashta asks in the chat that we can open an issue if you don't know the solution. You can open an issue if you find the problem very compelling, right? So that is something which you can do. So there was a request to add navbar with headroom JS, right? This was some issue which Harshal opened, right? But then this is something which you should mandatorily have to know, right? This description solution you may or may not know, right? But if your feature request is related to a problem, right, or if your bug is related to a problem, then definitely describe it in much detail. So that's what I told Harshal as well, right? So however you could update your initial comment to the problem this feature could solve, right? If we generally don't add features which just look flashy all the time, but we should also have some meaningful like additions to the project and not just bloat it with a lot of unnecessary code. So Akshita, definitely, if you have a request and it comes from a genuine problem of yours, like while using Resuminator, you can go ahead and open it. Even if you do not know the solution, we can discuss that honestly, and you will also get to learn a lot, and we'll also get to explore a lot, right, in that discussion as well. I hope that makes sense, Akshita. Does it? Does it answer your question? Okay, cool. Brilliant. Okay, other people who are here, any questions, anything? We have like around 5 minutes for this one. So a lot of people are I think very comfortable now understanding what we just told. There are no questions for this, I think.
Are you guys understood all or didn't understood? Like that's the scale we need to measure, right? And it's also not a class, so you need to speak up, or maybe you can just put out on chat as well. So
is everyone from BIT here, or are people from other places as well?
all
places.
Okay,
Maybe you can show around the docs issue. Maybe that's a good place to start. Umbrella issue for the docs.
Okay. So one thing which you can start with, honestly, is this umbrella issue for docs, which Himanshu opened. So these are some things which are up for grabs, right? Which you can start documenting, right? So multiple resumes is something which I am documenting. If you want, you can, just mention here that I want to add this particular documentation, like about explaining how you can use 1 or 2 column resumes, or maybe how you can, add a custom section or something, right? How you can add detailed sections like education, experience, and publication. So you can add documentation for these, and you can read about it, how to work on a doc piece and everything, right? And you can definitely just tag Himanshu here, and he will assign you to some of the other doc piece, and you can make a pull request for it, right? And so that is something which you can start with as a beginner. So let me add a level 1, level 2 kind of thing here as well, right? I'll do it in the feature docs as well, right? You can ask us. Yeah.
Cool.
So Kushag said that, can you suggest similar open source projects to Resuminator which you can contribute? There are a lot of projects which are there which take contributions. Like one is Yash's project, right? So I just told the design systems is there. You can contribute to it. A lot of people contribute to normal repos like the algorithms, or maybe which is, what is just giving you solutions of different lead code problems. You can contribute to it, but honestly, that like in my opinion personally, I would say that would be kind of a very you'll not get the real feel of the open source in that when you're contributing to it, right? So if you want to get the real feel of open source software, try to start with something which you already use, right? So if you are using something, then you can maybe see if it is open source or not, right? So the thing which how you start contributing is you start using more software and then find if they're open source or not, and then try to learn the technologies according to them. So for GSOC people, I have a whole kind of blog on it, right? So you can read about my journey or how I got into. It's kind of an elaborate blog, 17-minute read, right? But it has 3 parts for you all. So you can start with whatever part you want. It's like completely independent. Like each part of it is completely independent of the other one, right? So if you have lesser time, you can start with part 3. If you want some, what all to learn and everything, you can start with part 2. And if you want how I failed and I got back, or what lessons I learned from my failure, you can start with part 1. So this is how I have broken down this particular blog, right? So you can go ahead and read that. Harshita and Shayandeep book, right? So minimum experience and all that, you can definitely find that in here. So do they select you to work for them in GSOC program if you only have skills to no, it's not mandatory, but again, right? So like we have it for Resuminator, right? So you do not need to know a lot of things which CERN does, but definitely you should have, use the software at least once which you're trying to contribute to, right? Else what would, like, how will you know what to contribute and what to add or what not to add, right? So that is something which you should at least have some prior knowledge to. Okay. And if you are a beginner, like honestly, if you are a beginner and you are very curious and interested into learning stuff like this, or you are, getting into this development and all, Himanshu and I also run a newsletter, which is like a bi-weekly newsletter, which comes in like once every 2 weeks directly in your inbox, right? And which is called as Broadmap. I'll just quickly tell you about it, right? So this is the website which you can go into. And in our earlier issues, right, I have also shared my GSOC proposal and all that, right? So if you go into the very start of the issues, right, there's something called as there's in this one, right? So here in this particular issue, I talked about what open source projects are open and how to get started as a front-end developer, full stack developer, and something like that. So you can start with our earlier issues, right, from 1 or 2, and try reading them. You might find something which is very, helpful for you, right? So that is something which may help you for that, right? So if you're writing a proposal for GSOC next year, maybe you can find a link of all the proposals in here, and this includes my proposal, and then you'll see how much did I know at that point of time, right? So these are some good proposals which are there, and you can honestly go ahead and give them a read if you want, right? So that is something. For me, I did not know much of React and all, but I had started to learn it recently, so I just applied to Sun, and then that gave me a big boost in learning React. So that's what happened. Sandeep says if they told for a project you should have familiarity with PyTorch. Is that no? If they tell you you should have familiarity with PyTorch, that does not they do not expect you to be a completely expert on that, right?
I guess like you can put it that way. Like if it's a library like TensorFlow, PyTorch, where it's a product for developers itself, familiarity to how thing works would be a much better way when you are applying. Like you should know what is going behind the scenes when you're applying to a library like TensorFlow, PyCharm, Django, rather than other projects like Submity or maybe some platform-based project. So that's a very difference between how you choose a project. So PyTorch is a library. Definitely you should know like what's behind this. But for a platform like Submity, familiarity with what exactly Submity does and why it does it, so that would be enough to get you started.
So you can also see, like, if you can see here, they have this C++ as 52% of their code base, right? So if you do not, if you want to contribute to PyTorch, you must have at least some experience with C++ and working with it, right? And then you can reach out to the people first, and then they will guide you through where you want to, like, what you want to go do in that PyTorch or anything like that, right? So try to find people first, and then get into the contributions part. Okay, I hope this makes sense, Shaindeep. Does that answer your queries which are there? Cool. Okay. Anyone else? We have another 2-3 minutes for this one, right? And definitely check out our earlier, issues which were there for beginners only, right? Recently, we have shifted to a bit more depth in topics, right? But if you want to, check out our previous issues, which were basically aimed at beginner levels, you can definitely find a lot of content in there, right? Which you can, which will help you get into tech world as well as, into this web development and open source and everything, right? Okay.
Vivek does write. Vivek and Himanshu does write a like good set of newsletters. So like it's very useful, and do check it out. And like folks, don't like wait for any event to contribute to open source. Like let's say Hacktoberfest ends and you stop contributing to open source. Like if you like it, just follow it. Don't just go for if you want to crack. Like having a goal is very like good, but just don't go for that only. Just be curious and like you will go ahead.
Exactly. So that is like something which we like work with Broadmap, right? So we just follow whatever we are curious about, and then we share it with people, right? And that's something which you should always follow, right? If you follow your genuine curiosity, definitely you would find a better thing to work on, honestly, all the time. Try not to just look at if your friend is doing open source, I should also probably get into it. Like that mentality would not take you very far, right? If you're genuinely curious about, like, let me build something, then it's great, right? So that is something. You can also follow us on Twitter, and click on the bell icon so that you get notified every time we release a new issue, right? And that would help you a lot. So here we Saurav also read our latest issue and I guess he liked that one, right? So this is how we generally release our issues on Twitter, and you can definitely go ahead and follow that, or you can also follow Himanshu and me on Twitter for more such kind of content which we keep on posting, right? Regarding the events which we are taking part in, or the tech which we are currently involved in, all that stuff. Right? So thanks a lot for having us here, Saurav. I think we should now bring this session to a close, right?
Yeah.
If people do not have any other questions, right? If you all have any questions, reach out to us on Twitter, right? Definitely we'll be there. And like this is something which I would break out to you. Like Twitter is a much better place to connect with people, connect with more high signal people, I would say, right? Which actually are doing a lot of stuff rather than LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, you might get ghosted very easily. Twitter, generally people don't. I have not seen people ghosting other people very fast, right? So that's something which I've experienced, like in my experience, I've seen, right? So definitely, we'll keep you posted through our Twitter. Generally, I use like Twitter to make more updates, not LinkedIn very much, right? Recently, so you can follow if you are on Twitter. Go ahead and follow us there. If you are not, right, go and make an account and then follow us, right? So that's very much needed. Okay, cool. So this is Himanshu's. I'll just paste those links in the chat. Thanks a lot for joining in, people, and I hope to, see you there, like on LinkedIn or anything. If you have any doubts or something like that, definitely reach out.
Would love to see some tweets and like have questions on the Twitter as well. Like,
thanks a lot, Vivek and Himanshu. And I hope to see you folks like contributing to Resuminator as well as many other repository. Like, thanks for briefing so beautifully and structuring how you did like your repository as well as this session. I hope like you folks have learned a lot. And definitely reach out to Vivek. He is very reachable, but don't ping those questions which are like found in his news in their newsletter, or it's which is like you can find out on Google, right? Definitely. Thanks a lot, Vivek and Himanshu, for accepting our invitation, and we will look forward to it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Saurav, for bringing us here. It was, very nice to talk to all of the people here. And before we leave, honestly, I'll just stop sharing my screen, and selfie is very mandatory, right, for all these sessions, I believe. So people, if you can open your cameras for like 5 or like 1 minute or something, if you are comfortable, you can open your cameras and all, and then we can just take a quick photo for posting it on other platforms, right?
Maybe posting it on Resuminator. You never know.
Yeah, we'll be definitely posting that through Resuminator's account as well then. Okay.
Yeah.
So that way, we'll also tag you if you are there. If you're following us, we may be able to tag you as well there. Other people who are there, Shayandeep, and I don't know who moderator is, right? Yash, Kushagr, Kushi, and other people. If you want to open your cameras just for a quick photo session, right, we can do that. Okay.
Let's take 5 seconds, like 5 seconds, and like do your hair and all whatever you want to do, and switch your camera. Like it's not a beauty competition, so no worries.
So now I'll just take the quick screenshot, maybe, right? Should we pose for that, Saurav and Himanshu and Agam? Should we pose for that something? Maybe, I don't know. I did not rehearse that before, so we can do something. If you want, you can pose for this one, right? But everyone should have the same pose or something. Saurav, that's your call, man. That's your call. What should we do?
Saurav, yes, Saurav's call. He's the host.
Like turn on your camera, at least some are trying, and then we can start it. Like Vivek and Himanshu has to go, so like quickly switch on your camera and like guys don't leave. Class, it's not a class. So,
yeah.
If you
now people are trying to get in the zone. Vivek dropped the bomb like from the camera.
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess people are too shy, so
no worries. It will once they start contributing to open source, the shyness will go away, right? When they start I think that would, definitely help a lot. It definitely helps a lot, right? Okay, then I'll just quickly take a screenshot again. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Cool. One more.
Prateek's like. Cool.
3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot, people, for joining in and adding in this screenshot in here. I'll share that with you all as well and tag you, right? And on our page as well, right? If we find you there. Okay. Cool then. Okay. Saurabh, I'll just, we can close off the session then. If there are any other things which you want to ask, you can just reach out to us on Twitter or LinkedIn, wherever you want, right? And then we'll be getting back to you there. Okay. Bye-bye. Good night. Thanks a lot for joining in.
Bye.
Folks, before just leaving in, we have something for you. Maybe let me just share it. Once a second.
Already shared.
Just a second. Lot of screens. So yeah, so like there are a lot of websites where you can find GitHub repository, right? So to start contribution to open source, but it's not everyone can come and give you a session about what they do. Thanks to Vivek and Himanshu, they do it very generously. But we thought there should be something which suggests according to the repository which we are already contributing, right? So let's say I'm already contributing a certain type of repositories and a certain type in the language, let's say JavaScript and all. So we reached out to a person like the CPO of Qwen, presenting you Scout by Qwen. So Scout provides personalized recommendations and explore functionality which will help you find the most relevant places to contribute to. So CPO or say David Butler reached out to me and he was very generous enough to get us access for the closed beta. So you can use this access code to sign up. Don't worry. We will be sharing out the whole PDF or the access code with you through the mail. So look out for that. So closing of this session. Thanks a lot for joining in, folks. Hope you have a great weekend as well as happy Hacktoberfest, and we will see who all of you are contributing to Resuminator. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, guys.